What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the CruitCast. Cole, it has been a crazy. Actually, I think we recorded on Wednesday last week, so it's been 6 days since our last one. And man, we've got a lot to talk about. And my brain is so scattered, I may forget some things. So I'm counting on your young mind to keep me on track here. Before we do that, let's give a plug to our sponsors, of course, Prime Shrimp. Go to primeshrimp.com. You see it on the top there, $20 off your first order. Promo code OrangeBloods. Cole, I had some prime shrimp the other day. It was the garlic butter one. First time I've had it. Freaking fantastic. I had a steak, had my shrimp. Boom, awesome. Easy 5-minute cook time and easy cleanup. Can't beat it. So Prime Shrimp, everybody, support our sponsors, our friends at primeshrimp.com. Also, like the videos, subscribe to this channel, do all those things that help us. Just click those buttons down below the video here if you enjoy what we're talking about. So Cole, I don't really even have a place to begin, but I guess I don't have a plan. Normally I kind of scribble some notes. I think about some things, but there's so much to talk about. I'm looking at our visit list on my other monitor here, and I literally have to scroll up and down. There's been so much activity. But let's start with Arch Manning. We haven't even talked about Arch. We have on other videos, but you and I haven't talked about Arch's commitment on the CruitCast because it happened Thursday. In fact, did it happen? Did we record Thursday morning and it happened later that day? Or was it Wednesday we recorded?
I think it was Wednesday, and because it happened when I was in the car on the way down to the state tournament.
Okay, yes, you're right. I was on the Modcast, and I had finished up the Modcast Thursday morning. I was literally about to walk out the door and head to College Station for State 7-on-7. Yes, you're right. So we recorded maybe a day or two before Arch committed. He commits Thursday morning. I don't want to spend like 20 minutes on Arch, even though he is a huge commitment, obviously. We've talked about him on so many other videos, but just kind of your thoughts on Arch and how surprised were you when it went down on Thursday morning of last week?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was obviously a little surprised because I was in my car. Like, I probably wouldn't have planned to drive down to College Station if I knew for a fact that was going to happen. But, we reported earlier in the week that there's a chance that something could happen that weekend at the Manning Passing Academy. He obviously wrapped up his official visits, and it kind of made sense for him to do something that weekend. He'll have his family in town. Media is going to be there and everything like that. He probably wanted a decision made before being attacked by the media, so to speak. But yeah, the timing of it was a little surprising just for the fact that there was no lead up to it. His coach actually told me afterwards that he didn't know until that morning. So it kind of surprised a lot of people of the timing, but I think we both felt like Texas was in a great spot coming out of that visit. Obviously, his really good friend and teammate, Will Randall, committed. He hit it off with a lot of guys while in town. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about Arch a ton, but just the timing was a little surprising. Just, time of the day, I felt like he probably would have waited a little bit later in the day, at least until I made it into town for College Station. But yeah, I mean, it was obviously a huge commitment, took the world by storm. I believe the tweet has like over 200,000 likes. So it went viral pretty quickly. And we obviously probably going to get into it, but we talked to some recruits the next day and how they found out about the news. So it was pretty interesting to hear their insight. But yeah, I mean, it's huge for Texas for obvious reasons.
Still is. I'm getting, I had media requests today that I'm going to do after we're done here. Like someone wants to talk to me from the sporting news about Arch's impact. Yeah, thankfully I had not left for College Station. Like I said, I was doing the Modcast, but the timing was interesting. I mean, it's no surprise that it was kind of sporadic and out of the blue. I mean, it's kind of been Arch's MO a little bit, just to, not really have a timeline or really any concrete answers to anything. But we thought maybe
graphic or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because word would have leaked had he done that. We thought it would happen maybe during the passing academy, so maybe Saturday, Friday, maybe even Sunday, but ends up happening on Thursday. It's funny, man. We talked to a bunch of recruits down at College Station, and we've talked to other people since then, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we knew it was coming. Oh yeah, I was told a couple months ago." Listen, let's cut through the bullshit here. Nobody knew it was coming. Okay, his own coach didn't know it was coming. People at Texas. People felt good about it, but anybody who says, I knew Arch Manning was coming to Texas, no, you didn't. Not until he announced. I mean, again, everybody felt pretty confident. People at
Yeah.
Texas felt confident. Other recruits felt confident.
I was told by his coach that Will Randall, his really good friend, wasn't completely sure, even coming out of the weekend, what Arch was going to do. So he played
Yeah,
things
so
pretty close to the vest.
yeah, save me the BS. But I knew it all along. People who spent time with Arch on his official visit, I mean, he spent a lot of time with him, like we're connected to him at the hip. They thought he was going to commit, I guess, last week. So their information ended up being accurate. And we'd kind of tease that on Orange Bloods, like, hey, man, we've heard this, but there was no way to fully confirm it because everybody was just kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. But regardless, Arch Manning, number one player in the country, commits to Texas on Thursday. That starts just a windfall of commitments. And Cole, I'm going to go through them. I'm pulling up the Texas commitment list here. Yeah, I guess they are sorted in order. I'm going to have to, again, scroll down. So let's go through what's happened since Arch Manning. Arch commits on Thursday. Saturday, Texas gets a commitment from Leona Fall, the linebacker from Hawaii. He makes his announcement. He actually committed on Thursday, the same day as Arch Manning, waited until Saturday to make his announcement. It was Texas over Utah. Oregon was also involved there. He visited Texas a few weeks ago, and he told me then, hey, man, it's probably Texas and Utah. Just had a lot of good things to say about UT. Liked the program, liked the opportunity to play early. He told me, it was interesting, he told me he liked that Texas had a plan for players and their mental health, which he said, hey, man, a kid from Hawaii, you're going to probably get homesick. But, a big pickup there from Leona Fall. Again, Texas needs linebackers, Cole, to go to Hawaii and get a guy who they've never had a guy from the state of Hawaii. Leona told me, he goes, hey, man, I want to blaze my own path. I could have done something and gone to Utah where they have a big Polynesian heritage there. Even at Oregon, that was kind of in the middle. He goes, I want to be my own man and blaze my own path. Picks Texas over those schools. He's done with the recruiting process. Your thoughts on Leona Fall's commitment, who he announced on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. We were actually told, coming out of that official visit weekend earlier in June, that there's a chance that he could have popped soon after that. Obviously, it was a little bit later than that, but yeah, big win for Texas. He's watching his film, he's a little undersized for a typical linebacker, but he's really athletic. He can get sideline to sideline really quickly. Plays some receiver as well, so he has some good ball skills on both sides of the ball. He's a really good player, and be able to beat out two Pac-12 teams that have some connections to Hawaii. It's pretty impressive for Texas. They're trying to branch out a little bit. I believe he's the first Hawaiian to ever commit to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty big win out there. A guy that should be able to, at the very least, contribute on special teams pretty early in his career, with some upside to be an important player. Obviously, they targeted him. He had a pretty strong offer sheet and everything like that. So big win for Texas. And obviously, they knocked that weekend out of the park with him and Spencer Shannon in the boat, potentially Cedric Baxter down the road. So things went pretty well there.
Yeah, we'll talk about Cedric Baxter here in a little bit. So then we turn the calendar from Saturday to Sunday, and that's when all hell breaks loose, right? We
Yeah.
like, oh man, I can't really leave my computer, or certainly can't leave the house on Sunday. My wife, like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm sitting right here in case the news breaks. So thankfully, we were pretty prepared, or not pretty. We were very prepared. We had a lot of commitment stories written and instant analysis is written because we knew some of these were coming. Some of them were just a matter of when, and most of them ended up popping on Sunday. So I'm going to try to go in the order that they announced on Sunday, and we'll start with Connor Stroh, the offensive lineman. He and Jonah Wilson were pretty much simultaneous, but Connor Stroh actually committed to the Texas coaches on Friday night. He told us about it. He said he wanted to wait until he until he notified the other coaches recruiting him, which he did that Sunday right after he left campus. So shout out to Connor's mom, who said, hey, she kind of kept us in the loop. So, hey, Connor, he's on the phone with these other coaches. He's going to announce soon. So we were ready. But Connor Stroh, the big offensive lineman from Frisco, Wakeland, both his parents went to A&M. We've talked about it. It's so funny, man. Like, I always thought Texas was the team to beat there, right? And I had it on my recruiting board. A&M offers pretty late, and you're like, that could throw a wrench into things. But even after A&M offered, I remember talking to Connor, I think it was at the Rivals camp. I guess it was literally a couple days after he got that offer. You'd think you'd be on cloud nine if A&M was going to be the obvious pick. And
yeah,
he told me, man, he said it again then. He goes, he goes, man, people who think I'm locked in for A&M are making a mistake. He goes, that's just not the case. My parents are cool with whatever. And Texas fans didn't want to believe it. And we should have taken Connor at his word, because here we are, a couple days after his commitment, and he picks Texas over Texas A&M and a couple other schools. Arkansas was in there as well. Big commitment figuratively, big commitment literally, 6'7", 345 from Connor Stroh. Your thoughts on Texas winning out in that recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had the chance to meet and watch Connor play, few short days right after Texas offered in the playoff game, and they won. They beat Highland Park. It was like their biggest playoff win. He was, he was obviously excited about that game, but even right then and there, he told me how much he really liked Kyle Flood already. They were the
First offer,
offer.
first ever offer. So, right?
Yeah, first offer. He told me that Sark actually came watch him play earlier in that year against Dayton Ryan. And from then on, it seemed like Texas was in the lead. FSU quickly offered. Arkansas got in the race. A&M obviously offered late in the spring, but they really helped Texas to get in there and start that relationship really early. Last week, I actually thought that A&M, I said it on the CruitCast, I thought A&M was probably going to get his commitment. Just looking at it from my perspective, I went to school where my dad went to school. It's kind of hard to turn that down. He went and visited A&M on Father's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, his family A&M people, they were never going to push him there, but human nature to kind of want to follow your parents' footsteps. But kind of speaks to the volumes that Kyle Flood did in the recruitment. He built that relationship up from the start, and he really trusted him. And I think it probably helps that they're able to get Andre Kojo and all these other guys, Jane Chapman, on campus with him. He's built some good relationships with other commits, including those guys. He mentioned to me early in the spring wanting to play with Arch Manning. So there's a lot of things that went in Texas's way, but a lot of the credit goes to Kyle Flood for not just winning him over, but the entire family. They're all wearing burnt orange and throwing up the hook'em, which they probably never thought they would ever do. But yeah, like you said, massive, literally speaking, huge dude, and looks every part of 6'7", 345.
And he's done it. I tell you, he's put in the work. Like I talked to him at that, Rivals camp. We talked about this, and he's really kind of cleaned up his body a little bit, and in the last year, and he still has work to do, and he will put in the work. I have no doubt about it. But he looks pretty good now. It's 6'7", 345, and I asked him. I said, "Well, what prompted you to what flipped that switch for you?" He goes, "Man, I just kind of realized I can have a future playing football, but I got to put in the work and get my body in a little bit better shape and tone up here and there." So he's done a really good job of that and puts up some pretty impressive weight room numbers. So really good pickup there for Texas and Kyle Flood. You said
a power lifter.
Yeah, it would make sense. So, so Connor commits at about, I don't even remember, 2:00 on Sunday afternoon, and literally within like a minute, wide receiver Jonah Wilson out of Spring Decaney commits also. Jonah, we had heard, committed to the staff on actually Saturday night, so we were kind of prepared for that one. Our buddy Nick Harris from the Rivals National team, he told us even before the visit, he goes, "Hey, man, there's a really good chance this one is going to happen." So we were kind of on our toes there, but he's a guy that Brennan Marion, Texas receivers coach, just has really loved. He offered him back at Pittsburgh. He's really made him a priority when Brennan Marion got to Texas. The big kind of outside receiver that Texas wants in this class, 6'4", 205 pounds, 6'4". So big receiver who can do a lot of things, go up and use his body and get jump balls, be a red zone threat. So Jonah Wilson makes the call Sunday afternoon. And Cole, your thoughts on Jonah?
Yeah, he's a little bit different than some of the other receivers they have on their board, like Ryan Niblett already committed, Jonte Cook's big target. Those are a little bit smaller, shiftier guys, really good route runners. Jonah's a good route runner, but he's really known for his, jump ball skills. He can stretch the field. Bigger dude, red zone target. But yeah, really good athlete. You can play a little bit of everything. He's played some quarterback on high school level. Really good in 7-on-7 settings as well. Like you said, Brennan Marion kind of made him a priority going back to Pitt. But he, I kind of wrote about this in an article that will be published in Orange Blood, just how he complements the rest of the receivers pretty well just because of his size, gives him something different. He also mentioned to me, I'm sure you as well, earlier in the spring, he wanted to play with, Arch Manning. That was one of his guys that he wanted to play with. So it kind of all worked out pretty well, and they sealed the deal on that visit.
Yeah, I want to say he moved to receiver like end of his sophomore year. So he's
Mhm.
really, a little over a year as a receiver. So and then
Yeah.
tremendous upside there. He should only get better. So a really
Mhm.
good pickup there for Brendan Marion. Let's see. After that, was it Kojo? I guess right.
Yeah.
I think it was Andre Kojo, another offensive lineman. And it's funny. We knew Kojo. I put my feature cast in for Andre Kojo back in like February. Okay, because and just in talking to him multiple times, he was always high on Texas. His mom loved Texas. She
Mhm.
wanted him at Texas. He told me that one just made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We heard he committed, I think, I don't remember, Saturday or something. So, um, and I was texting with Andre. Well, first, I tried to call him after he left campus. He didn't answer. And I think I texted him and I said, "Hey, Andre, do you have a few minutes to talk about your visit?" And I was hoping he would give me some off the record stuff. Yeah, I committed. Here's some quotes so I could have a story ready.
Mhm.
Texted me back and he goes, "Yeah, because I'm not quite I'm not I don't remember, I'm not home right now. Can I text you back when I get home in a little bit?" And I said, "Yeah, that's cool. Just let me know." And then 20 minutes later, he announced his commitment. So I think he was just kind of keeping me at bay until
Yeah.
he announced his commitment. But really, I love Andre. I think he's still only 16. I don't even
He's a
think
young
he's
dude, yeah.
yeah, he's a young dude. Either he just turned 17. I don't, or maybe he hasn't even turned 17. I don't think he has. So
Mhm.
he will be, or is that right? Yeah, he'll be 17 when he graduates. I know that. I know he and I have talked about that. So young guy. Another man. There's a picture that we had on Orange Bloods, and it's circulated around of all four of those offensive line commitments.
Yeah.
Andre's a big dude, man. I mean, Connor
Huge.
Stroh is in his own category, but he's not much smaller than Connor, man. So 6'6", 330 is what he's listed. Connor's 6'7", 345. So I mean, just a big young dude, just tapping into his potential. TCU was heavily involved there. And Vanderbilt tried to get in there a little bit. Obviously, he's strong on his academics, but really likes Texas. Really likes Coach Flood. Seems like a lot of potential there. Another guy that in after last year's class, that's okay. You can take these guys that might take a year or two to mold, or even 3 years to mold them into the player you need them to be. So another good pickup along the offensive line. Cole, your thoughts on Andre Kojo?
Yeah, like I said, he's huge. Connor Stroh is pretty massive, but Kojo isn't too far behind him. Looks every part of 6'6", 330. He's relentless in the run blocking. He plays tackle on high school level, but he'll probably play guard just because of his size. Either way, wherever he plays, he's huge. He's strong. Really massive guy, and kind of fits the prototype for Kyle Flood and what he likes to do. They made him a priority from the start, and similar to Jonah Wilson, they sealed the deal on that visit and add another guy. I believe they entered the weekend with no offensive line commits. Now they have a bunch, and all of them are pretty massive. So he definitely fits that bill.
Yeah, and then they continue on the offensive line later that afternoon. Jaden Chapman from Harker Heights, another guy that Kyle Flood was out in front of. He was the first to offer Jaden Chapman. Chapman ends up taking visits to Oklahoma, A&M, and LSU. I talked to him Sunday. We had heard he committed, right? And I talked to him Sunday after his visit. I think he might have been on his way home, or maybe had just got home. I don't remember. And he didn't want to come out and say he was fully committed. He didn't deny it. He goes, "Well, I'm just, something's going to happen pretty soon." And I said, "Well, Texas?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, or he said Texas. He goes, it kind of surprised me a little bit. I said, "Who would be behind Texas?" LSU, he said, which is interesting. I thought it'd be Oklahoma or A&M, but he said, no, it actually would have been LSU. So he didn't come out and say, yes, I committed, but he basically said, hey, yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be Texas over LSU. The other two weren't as strong of factors that everybody thought they were. So this is a guy, some people think he's the best offensive lineman in the state, doesn't have that enormous size presence of the other three committed guys that Texas got. I say that, and he's 6'4", 288. He squished me like a grape, but he's not the 6'7", 340 guy. But
Yeah.
I think he's a guy, Cole, that can play tackle. He can play interior. He can do a little bit of different things for you. Your thoughts on Texas winning out on Jaden Chapman, a guy that we thought all along Texas was going to win out on.
Mhm.
Didn't necessarily know it would be on the official visit weekend, but again, Kyle Flood, man, brought in four guys and closed all four of them down on the day they left campus. So your thoughts on Jaden Chapman?
Yeah, Flood was obviously working some magic on that visit. Everybody kind of bought in there. Yeah, we saw Chapman at the Under Armour camp back in the spring, and he looked pretty good there. That's when he told us that Texas was pretty much his leader, but he still wanted to take visits. He wanted to check out LSU. I think Alabama was in the picture at that time as well. So pretty big win. He's a Rivals 250 guy. Could play some tackle, play some guard. Just a well-rounded guy, good athlete for his size as well. Pretty big win to be able to beat out, some big schools on that offer sheet for him. And like you said, pretty interesting that LSU finished second in that recruitment, but big for Texas to, nail it down on his visit and not let it drag out any longer.
And then the one that's interesting, and it's so what's interesting about all of these offensive linemen, the fact that they're willing to come in a year after Texas signed 7 offensive linemen. That's not easy to do, man. A lot of guys are going to look at that and be like, nah, no thanks. I'm going to look at other options.
Pretty highly rated too.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, kudos to Kyle Flood, just selling them on a long-term vision. And hey, man, we need depth. I mean, these other guys are probably going to play right away, so we can have some separation between you guys. And hey, maybe you beat those guys out, but if you don't, man, you roll in there and you've got a couple years where you're holding down the fort. And Texas doesn't have a lot of depth, so there's a good chance a lot of these guys we're talking about now will play early as well. But the last commitment of Sunday, Cole, ends up being Trevor Gusby, the offensive lineman out of Melissa. A little backstory there. He committed to TCU. I say pretty early. It was a couple of months ago. Texas extends an offer a couple of weeks ago. He comes down and visits. They quietly extended an offer. He comes down and visits. They make the offer official through SARC. Texas A&M extends an offer a couple of weeks ago. Trevor Gusby comes in for his official visit, of course, to Texas last weekend. I talked to him Sunday right after he left campus. He was at some family's house here in Austin. He's got his mother's side of the family lives in Austin. So he's at their house and we're talking and he's telling me how great of a visit is and this, that, and the other. And I just finally asked him off the record, I said, hey, who are you favoring, Texas or TCU? And he's still committed to TCU at this point, of course. He goes, yeah, I'm favoring Texas. I just need to kind of talk things over with my family. Word kind of starts trickling out Sunday night that he's going to commit. His family kind of says, yeah, be on alert. I hit up Trevor and he goes, okay, yeah, have your commitment story ready. So we got to cranking on that. And he ends up committing to TCU, or I'm sorry, decommitting from TCU shortly after commits to Texas on Sunday night. This is a guy I know we both like. A lot of people like him. He measured on the official visit, I was told 6'7", I think 284. So he's got the height like Connor Stroh, 6'7". He's not 340. This is a guy who was 240 last year and has really kind of grown into his frame, shot up and added some good weight. Really athletic. Maybe the most true tackle, not maybe, I would say certainly the most true tackle out of this group that Texas has recruited. So, I mean, this guy has a lot of upside, I think long-term upside, Trevor Gusby. So I really like this pickup for Texas. May not pay immediate dividends. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what his body does over the next year. But this is a guy, he just strikes me as a guy, by the time he's in his second and third year in the program, with his athleticism, his size, his dad's a former basketball and NFL player for a little bit. Tremendous bloodlines. This guy seems like he has a really high ceiling if he can tap into it. Your thoughts, Cole?
Yeah, for sure. I saw him and Melissa play in November, and even since then, he's kind of hit a big growth spurt. He's getting bigger. We saw him pretty recently in the late spring at a camp, and he looked good there and moved pretty well. And at that camp, he told me that he was really wanting that Texas offer. They didn't offer it then, and he committed to TCU, but everything worked out pretty well for him. Really athletic guy. Like you said, his dad played basketball, NFL. I believe his mom played some volleyball. So it's good athletic bloodlines there. He's a really athletic guy, can dunk. There's obviously clips so you can see on social media of him dunking.
Like windmill dunking and like reverse, not just a normal dunk. I mean, he's doing some crazy dunks.
I guess a dunk that someone does that can barely touch the rim. He makes it look pretty easy. There's a lot I know we've talked to some people that think he's the best tackle in the state. He's just kind of scratching the surface of his potential. And like you said, he might be a little bit of a developmental guy, especially with the class they signed last year. But I like his ceiling down the road. He really quick-footed, really good athleticism, and just kind of what you want in an offensive tackle. I think he is just kind of scratching that surface and should be able to be a really good player as he gets adjusted to his new height and weight going into his senior season.
Yeah, and then Sunday night we ended up staying up till past midnight because there were rumors that Cedric Baxter might make a commitment Sunday night. That ends up not happening, so that was all for naught. We turned into Monday, right? And then boom, last night, Derek Williams, the Rivals 100 DB out of Louisiana, commits to Texas. That one was interesting because, man, I talked to Derek Sunday. Literally, he was at the airport getting ready to board his flight. And he did tell me, man, it was a great visit. He said Texas was on top. He mentioned a couple other schools he wanted to maybe look at in the fall. It was Alabama, Texas A&M, Clemson was one. He didn't even mention LSU, which I thought was interesting. I had to ask him, what about LSU? He goes, oh, yeah, probably them too. But he did say coming out of his visit, Texas was on top. I didn't think he would commit so early because he told me he wanted to take other visits. Well, he ends up committing on Monday. I talked to him yesterday, and he goes, yeah, man, it kind of hit me when I was on the way home from Texas. He goes, that's where I want to be. Why wait? He said, the Arch Manning effect really had an impact on him. The other guys Texas was able to secure on Sunday, it just kind of hit him. And he said, man, I'm not going to wait anymore. I'm going to go ahead and do it and get it over with. So we did a video last night, Ketch and I did talking at length about him, but tremendous safety prospect, really athletic. He can help you in the return games. He will come up and hit you, man. He's not a big bodied safety by any means. He's 6'1", 183 we've got him listed at, but he's not afraid to come up and kind of lay some contact on you and knock your helmet off if he can. So a lot to like about Derek Williams. This is a guy that, borderline 5-star player and huge get for Texas to get him over some of these other big time programs that were out after him and to get him so early. Cole, I know you're familiar with him. Your thoughts on Derek Williams?
Yeah, I was watching his film last night, and like you said, he's a very physical player. He's not, biggest dude, but he will come up and hit you. He has pretty good size, good frame, good length, and everything. I think he probably best projects as like a in the box safety once he gets to the college level. A guy that kind of set the tone for your defense. He's a big alpha guy that you want on your team. Huge for Texas to go into Louisiana and win that recruitment. They have 2 of the top 3 players in Louisiana now, with Arch Manning also committed. Will Randall is another guy that Rivals has as a 4-star. So they're having some success in a state that, very few programs outside of LSU and Alabama have. I think Williams is a guy that they'll probably have to continue to recruit and make sure that, that visit high doesn't go away, so to speak. But really good win for that staff. If they keep him in the boat, I think he's a guy that can make an immediate impact in that secondary.
Yeah, I agree. I need to talk to him again and ask him. And maybe I'll let it kind of settle in, all this commitment stuff. And, maybe next week or even later this week, does he still want to take those other visits? Because a lot of guys do nowadays. They just say, yeah, man, I want to enjoy the process. And he's been pretty open about wanting to take visits in the fall. So wouldn't shock me if he took other visits, Cole. Like you said, I think Texas is going to have to continue to work on him. But, hey, you'd rather have him in the boat and have to keep him there than having to pull him in the boat, right?
They've had some success at recruiting at Louisiana at that position. They were in it with Jacoby Matthews until the end last year. So obviously Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon are pushing the right buttons.
Yeah, and Jordan Matthews this year is another one to watch. So let's talk about some of the guys that were in town that haven't committed yet, okay? And then we'll touch on Cedric Baxter, who actually visited last weekend. So not a lot of them, Cole. Not a lot of guys that were in that aren't committed. But one of the big ones, I guess, would be Anthony Hill, linebacker out of Denton Ryan. Kind of heard on Saturday that, hey, man, things look pretty good for Texas. Anthony said he didn't say it looked good for Texas, but he said, hey, Texas is one of his top schools. I talked to Anthony's dad on Sunday. They talked a lot about really blown away on the visit. They love the culture. They've seen a turn in the culture at Texas from what they saw last year. Last year, they said maybe the team was a bit fragmented. Some guys were over here doing this thing. Some guys were over here doing their thing. He said this year, everybody's together. They're all working towards the same common goal. I'm not putting a future cast in for Anthony Hill. I know Ketchum did, but I have gone on record that I favor Texas in that one. He is supposed to visit A&M in late July, so that could kind of throw a wrench into things. But I like Texas' position with Anthony Hill, 5-star linebacker Anthony Hill, coming out of the weekend.
Yeah, I got to talk to him back in April, I believe, and he's wearing a Texas Longhorn shirt. He kind of lit up when talking about Texas, but A&M and OU have always been big factors in his recruitment as well. But this looks like it's going to be an in-state battle. I know Arch is already working Anthony. If you see on Instagram, he's kind of telling Anthony that he's next to join the class. And that certainly doesn't hurt to have your quarterback for you, especially a guy with Arch's profile. But yeah, they've sold him on Arch being the face of the offense and Anthony being that guy on the defense, and he's kind of buying into it. That visit obviously went well. Texas has always been a factor in his recruitment, and his visit couldn't have gone any better just based on what you've reported and what he's kind of said and things like that. I think that A&M visit will be something to watch. He kind of has that official visit still in his back pocket as well. I think the July one will be unofficial if I'm not mistaken. But either way,
I've heard both ways. I need to hit him up and ask because his dad said probably unofficial, but then Anthony said maybe official. So
yeah,
maybe they're still settling on that. But
yeah, so we'll see what happens there. What kind of move A&M makes. I'm sure they'll probably have a counterpunch to that. But yeah, it's a recruitment that could either end pretty soon or can go all the way to signing day. It's kind of hard to predict one way or the other, but Texas is definitely right in the game there, and that visit kind of got them back in his mind in a big way.
Yeah, he and his dad both said on Sunday there's no timeline. It could hit him whatever, could hit him tomorrow. I don't expect that, but just whenever it feels right, it feels right. He said, "Hey, I'm not going to force it. It could go into the fall." I don't know why, man. I think he's seen both of these programs so much, and with you, like you said, it's going to be Texas or Texas A&M. I don't think Oklahoma's a factor there at all anymore. The only reason he would wait until the fall, in my opinion, would be the same reason we thought maybe Arch Manning was going to wait until the fall to see what kind of performance Texas put on the field. Now, you reported a couple weeks ago that wasn't a factor for Arch, and obviously it wound up not being a factor. So, does Anthony? But Anthony, he's so bought into what he's seeing at Texas, and he and his family are so confident that Sark has got this thing heading in the right direction. I don't know that he waits until the fall. Man, I could seriously see him deciding, probably not before the A&M visit, but I could see him deciding after that A&M visit. So maybe I guess that is late July, so maybe August or something. But again, no firm timeline, like you said, for Anthony Hill. So we will keep an eye on that one. Another one, Billy Walton, defensive end out of South Oak Cliff, was committed to Oklahoma State. He decommitted last night. Come on, the writing's on the wall there. I talked to Billy on Sunday. He hadn't even left yet. He was in his hotel waiting for, I think, his mom to pick him up or something. And he gave me I said, well, I can call you back, Billy. Oh, no, I'm good. Billy Walton is one of my favorite dudes to talk to, man. He's always upbeat. Yeah, he's a cool kid, man. He's upbeat. He's just fun to talk to, man. But he told me on Sunday he was favoring Texas. He just said, man, it's going to be hard to make that call to Oklahoma State. Well, he ends up making that call Sunday night. Excuse me. He has not committed to Texas Monday night. He makes the call to Oklahoma State. He has not committed to Texas, Cole, as we record this lunchtime on Tuesday, but we're on high alert for that one to go down as soon as possible. Right? I don't think there's a whole lot more we need to say there other than he's close with Jonte Cook. He's cousins with Malik Muhammad. So you see a lot of – I think Texas was in a good spot, obviously, for both of those guys. And now you're seeing a lot more buzz about Malik Muhammad. Some of that is tied in with Billy Walton likely committing to Texas. So could be a big pickup there for multiple reasons. Going down the visit list, Trey Wisner was already committed to Texas. The running back, he was on campus last weekend. Here's an interesting one, and I have not talked to him, but other Rivals people have, and we'll catch up with him this week. But Braylon Shelby from out of Friendswood was in town last weekend. Texas and USC, still some kind of tug of war going on there. Your thoughts on Braylon Shelby, Cole?
Yeah, he was a big riser in the Rivals rankings. This really athletic guy that could be a really big force on the edge once he gets to college. Big time player. He loves both staffs. Loves USC. Loves Texas. I think Texas has the obviously close to home selling point, everything like that. But yeah, it seems like those are the two teams he's narrowed in on, focused on, everything like that. It's big for Texas to get him on campus, get that official visit. It seems like they made a pretty big impression as well. Yeah, he's a guy that can come right in and be another instant impact guy on that defense. They're trying to, they've had some success on the offensive side with Sarkisian and everything like that, but they're some of these guys on being difference makers on the defense as well, and he definitely would fit that bill.
His stock's really blown up of late, but he's a guy that the Texas staff has really prioritized
Mm-hmm.
for a while. We just haven't talked about him a ton, but every time we do talk to him, it's like, man, he's talking to the Texas coaches, including Sark, like multiple times per week. I think that one winds up Texas's way. Um, it's Texas and USC. It's UT's close to home. I think the academics at Texas will help there. I think Texas ends up winning out on that one. Darian Gillette is another guy that was in town. Um, we feel really good about Texas there, right? We've heard good things behind the scenes there. Don't expect that one to happen in the near future. I mean, listen, things can change, but I'm not expecting that one to happen maybe as early as like this week or something. But hey, I've been wrong on, I didn't think the same that about Derek Williams either. So we're talking teenagers. It's hard to pinpoint sometimes, but I think we both feel, and I'll let you talk, Cole, but I think we both feel very good about Texas's chances with Darian Gillette, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to somebody close to him the other day, and I believe he's going to take a visit to Alabama at the end of July. So that might be why we don't expect anything too soon. But who knows what happens there. Um, he's a really good player, obviously. He looks the part. We saw him down in Austin for that track meet, and he just looked like $1,000,000. Obviously, a great player. Another kind of like Braylon Shelby, another guy that's kind of skyrocketed in the rivals rankings, can play the edge, can play linebacker. But yeah, when he's healthy, he's a really, really big player, really difference maker there. But yeah, we feel pretty good about Texas' chances. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, feels like win and not if with Darian
Yeah.
Gillette. Just real quick on Ryan Niblett, the wide receiver, he's committed to Texas. The most interesting development out of Ryan, I talked to him on Sunday. He had been pretty open when he committed. Yeah, I'm going to take other visits. Well, he told me after Sunday, he thinks he's done. He's going to just that Texas visit will be his only visit. So really good job by Brendan Marion and the staff to shut that one down and keep him from taking those other visits. So last uncommitted guy, Cole, that I want to talk about, and then we'll touch on Cedric Baxter briefly. But Jonte Cook came in on Saturday for his official visit, fresh off of DeSoto winning the state 7-on-7 championship, going undefeated, by the way, and just kind of blowing through everybody there. So Jonte Cook comes in. We haven't communicated with Jonte since he left campus on Monday. I know you tried last night. Didn't really expect to get him, but we thought, hey, we'll try a shot in the dark and put a call into Jonte. But listen, talking to Jonte last week at the state 7-on-7 tournament on Friday, I guess it was, he ended up coming out with the top 3 of Texas, Michigan, and Oregon. I don't want to speak for you, Cole, but after my conversation with Jonte, anything other than a Texas pick, I would be flabbergasted. Now, Jonte, you always got to leave a percentage or two because he can be a bit of a wild card and maybe wants to go against the grain a little bit. But yeah, I'm fully expecting that to be a Texas pick. I thought maybe even yesterday. I thought maybe it happened on Monday night, but it didn't happen. But we're on high alert for Jonte Cook possibly happening soon, correct?
Yeah, no doubt. I've ever since I joined Orange Bloods for my very first conversation with Jonte, I've always thought he was going to end up at Texas. I was a little bit hesitant just because A&M factor there and wanted to see what happened with Arch. But as soon as Arch committed, I wasted no time putting a future cast in there. I probably should have done that earlier. But yeah, they have a great relationship. It's no secret they want to play together. Oregon and Michigan both made some big impressions on him. He enjoyed those visits. He was actually wearing some Michigan gloves and cleats during that tournament. But yeah, this is Texas battle to lose. They're in a great spot. He loves his staff, loves everything about Texas, and having Arch there already communicating with him is only going to, reinforce that. I think similar to some of the other guys, just more of a matter of when he wants to make that decision. But you never know with Jonte. Maybe he throws us a curveball, but based on everything we know and we've heard, that Texas is in an amazing spot there, and I think he's going to have, when he does, if he does join that class, I think he's going to be a big asset to the staff.
Yeah. Speaking of things we've heard, let's wrap it up. Boy, this is probably our longest one we've ever done, Cole, longest CruitCast. But let's talk about, lots to talk about. Exactly. Cedric Baxter, the running back out of Orlando Edgewater. He wasn't in town last weekend. He was in town, I guess, the previous weekend, where they ended up getting 2 of the 3 guys that were in town have committed. Cedric Baxter, Texas still working on. All signs point to Texas. He did visit A&M last weekend, but man, we've talked to a lot of people who have basically been told, hey, he's in the boat, right? I mean, other recruits feel like it's a done deal. These are other Texas recruits. So,
Yeah.
not now, he's not announcing till August, early August. So, things can change there. I mean, A&M, Miami, and Florida are all involved there. So we'll see what happens between now and August 10th. But as it stands right now, I feel pretty confident that I have my FutureCast pick on Texas, and I feel pretty confident in that as it stands right now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of the commits and just other recruits feel like he's going to pick Texas, if not downright confident he's going to pick Texas. But yeah, I think you'd feel a little bit better if he was going to make his decision this week. His birthday is today as we record, and there's some thought that he was going to announce, on his birthday, but that didn't work out. So we'll see what happens. He just took an official visit to A&M. I'm sure he'll have the Florida schools in his ear as well. But I do know Arch has already reached out to him. There's other recruits recruiting him as well. So that's another one. As we sit today, that's more of a win. Maybe just wants to wait till August, make a commitment before the season. But as we record in late June, that's a good sign for Texas. Just coming out of the weekend.
Yeah, that's 5 weeks away, or more than 5 weeks away, though. And those in-state schools could make things interesting. Obviously, A&M could still make things interesting. So high confidence right now, but I do kind of expect a bit of an up and down roller coaster ride until he announces August 10th. So we'll see, but we'll obviously keep tabs on that one as well. So lots of action going on, Cole. Still have our ears on high alert for things to happen this week. I don't think they're done this week. We'll see. We'll have it covered at orangebloods.com. Stay with us over there. Keep tabs. And by the way, the perfect time to segue into that. Go over to Orange Bloods if you're not a subscriber. Promo code ARCH, ARCH. It's still active. It's free until fall camp. So around August 10th, around the time Cedric Baxter will make his announcement. So go over there and sign up. It's totally free. Check it out. Check out that message board. Go to the Inside the 40 Acres message board. That thing's worth the price of admission in itself.
Sure.
So with that, Cole, appreciate your time today, my man. This is the CruitCast. Check out Prime Shrimp. Boom, boom, boom. Up there. Go to Prime Shrimp. $20 off your first order. Promo code Orange Bloods. You'll love it. I keep saying it, but it's true. You'll love it. It's delicious. It's easy. It's quick. There's no cleanup. PrimeShrimp.com. Appreciate everybody watching. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody's time, and we will be back next week to discuss who knows what, maybe another commitment or two. So y'all take care. Have a good rest of your week.